Dear students, today in Biodiversity and its Conservation Part 3, we are going to talk about the threats to biodiversity, causes of biodiversity loss of biodiversity, and Project Tiger. Even though India is one of the 17 identified mega diverse countries of the world, it faces lots of threats to its biodiversity. Apart from natural causes, human activities, both directly and indirectly, are today's main reason for habitat loss and biodiversity loss. Fragmentation and degradation due to agricultural practices, extraction like mining, fishing, logging, harvesting, and developmental activities like settlements, industrial and associated infrastructures leads to habitat loss and fragmentation. This leads to formation of isolated, small and scattered populations and as endangered species. Habitat loss and fragmentation, you can see in the image how a large habitat is fragmented. When large ecosystems become fragmented, species with large ranges may not have enough area to survive. Some of the other threats include specialized diet, specialized habitat requirement, large size, small population size, limited geographical distribution, and high economic or commercial value. Large mammals, by virtue of the size, require larger areas to obtain the necessities of life, food, cover, mates, than do smaller mammals. The climate change, the land use change, and the hunting, poaching, conflicts with humans can cause mammal extinction. Individual home range of lion can be about 100 square kilometer. Mammals have specialized dietary needs such as carnivores, frugivores, and the need to forage over much larger areas than general dietary herbivores and omnivores. Mammals also have low reproductive output other than small rodents. The interrelationship and interdependence of all living components in a system can be seen from the example of fruit bats of Guam, Southeast Asia. The fruit bats are a delicacy here and hence their population has dwindled, which is not surprising. In the left side image you can see the fruit bats hanging from the branch of a tree in the day, and the right side you can see a bat in the soup. What is surprising is that local fruit production has got affected as it was identified that the bats served as pollinators. Hence, there is a need for conservation of diversity as that could avert such situations. Here you can see the image where the bat is causing pollination of the flowers. What are the causes of biodiversity loss? The major causes of biodiversity loss decline are habitat loss, fragmentation and destruction, which affects about 73% of all species. Pollution and pollutants like smog, pesticides, herbicides, oil slicks and greenhouse gases, all these cause pollution. In the image you can see the polluted area near the water body and the goats grazing there where there is no proper feed for them. Climate change. The results of climate change, you can see the forest fires, the glaciers melting, the industrialization, flash floods, tsunamis, cyclones, droughts, landslides. All these are the results of climate change. Introduction of alien and exotic species, overpopulation of resources like poaching, indiscriminate cutting of trees, overfishing, hunting, mining. The overexploitation in the image you can see is the use by humans of the natural resources to an extent that it is not sustainable. You can see the timber being got from the cutting of the trees, the usage of the marine environment for overfishing, and excess population causing urbanization. Intensive agriculture and aquacultural practices, hybridization between native and non-native species, and loss of native species. So the loss of native species you can see from the clockwise direction coastal brook trout, diporia, the piping plover, etc. Natural disasters like tsunami, the forest fires, earthquake, volcanoes. You can see in the image on the left side the forest fires destroying a large amount of area. The middle image you can see the volcanoes erupting and discharging the hot lava. On the right side you can see industrialization and urbanization and infrastructure development has caused the animals to lose their forage and feed. Transport, road and shipping activity, construction of communicating towers, dam construction, unregulated tourism and monoculture are common area of specific threats. On the left side image you can see the construction of the communication towers after cutting the trees and the birds are loitering about. In the middle image you can see the construction of dams. In the right side you can see the co-extinction where the fragmentation has caused the extinction of many animals. Because of the extinction of many animals, the insects or the fleas that relies upon these animals have also become extinct, causing co-extinction. Habitat loss. Development of human society is inevitable. Natural habitats are destroyed for the purpose of settlement, agriculture, mining industries and construction of highways. As a result, species are forced to adapt to the changes in the environment or move to other places. If not, they become victim to predation, starvation, disease and eventually die or results in human-animal conflict. Overpopulation, urbanization, industrialization and agricultural advancements require additional land, water and raw materials every year. In the image on the left side, you can see rapid urbanization going on where the lands are being utilized. In the right side image, you can see the industrialization resulting in usage of land and excess pollution of the air. Population growth leads to industrialization causing global warming, acid rain, water pollution, pesticides and biomagnification and ozone depletion. This also causes loss of biodiversity where they cause deforestation and habitat loss, poaching and introduction of exotic species. Industrialization and urbanization is made possible only through fragmentation or destruction of natural habitats by filling the wetlands, plowing grasslands, cutting down trees, forests, desilting rivers, constructing transport ways, caving mountains, extracting ores, changing the course of rivers and filling of seashore. In the image on the left side you can see the cutting down of the natural forest. The right side you can see the extraction of the ores. The most dramatic example of habitat loss comes from the tropical rainforest. 14% of the Earth's land surface once covered by these tropical forests is not more than 6% now. The Amazon rainforest, a vast area harboring millions of species also called the lungs of the planet, is destroyed and being replaced for agriculture and human settlements. In the left side image you can see a road going through the forest. The right side you can see the destruction of a large area of the forest for human settlements. 90% of New Zealand wetland have been destroyed and cleared for cultivating soybeans and raising grass for beef cattle. In the image on the left side below you can see the grasslands destroyed and the soya plantation there. Kodaikanal and Nilgiri hills of Tamil Nadu have been destroyed rapidly for human occupancy. Loss of habitat results in annihilation of the plants, microorganisms and forcing out animals from their habitats. In the image on the right side you can see the Kodaikanal where the hills having the forests and the greeneries have been cut down and lot of urbanization going on. Where are the sparrows today? Common sparrows are going extinct because of mindless urbanization. They are losing not just their natural habitats but also the essential human touch they need and thrive upon. The population of sparrows is dwindling due to the use of packed food, insecticides in farming and changing lifestyles and the matchbox style architecture, resulting in an inadequate availability of food and shelter for the birds. Unlike pigeons that can cause nests on ledges, sparrows need cavities to build their nest. In the left side image, you can see the sparrows living on the building. On the right side, you can see the sparrow nest. Habitat fragmentation. Habitat fragmentation is the process where a large continuous area of habitat is both reduced in area and divided into two or more fragments. In the image on the right side, you can see a contiguous area with the interior habitat and the surrounding edge habitat. This is broken down in many fragments. This results in the loss of the biodiversity or driving away the fauna there. Fragmentation of habitats like forest land into croplands, orchid lands, plantations, urban areas, industrial estates, transport and transit systems have resulted in the destruction of complex interactions among species, like the food chain and the food web, destruction of the species in the cleared regions, annihilation of species restricted to these habitats, which are usually endemic there, and decreased biodiversity in the habitat fragments. Animals requiring large territories, such as mammals and birds, are severely affected. The elephant corridors and migratory routes are heavily vulnerable. The dwindling of many well-known birds, particularly the sparrows, and the animals can be attributed to this. Overexploitation. We depend on nature for our basic needs, such as food and shelter. However, when the need becomes greed, it leads to overexploitation of the natural resources. Excessive exploitation of a species reduces the size of its population to such a level that it becomes vulnerable to extinction. Dodo, passenger pigeon, and Steller sea cow have become extinct in the last 200 to 300 years due to overexploitation by humans. Overfishing due to population pressure leads to many marine fish populations declining around the world. You can see the images of the bird dodo, passenger pigeon in the center, and the Steller sea cow on the right side. Exotic species invasion. Exotic species which were non-native and alien are introduced unintentionally or deliberately for commercial purpose as biological control agents and other uses. They often become invasive and drive away the local species and is considered as the second major cause for extinction of the species. Exotic species have proved harmful to both aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. Tilapia fish, Jilebi kendai, Oreochromis mozambicus, you can see the image below on the left side, was introduced from east coast of South Africa in 1952 for its high productivity into Kerala's inland waters, became invasive, due to which the native species such as Puntius dubius, whose image is given in the center, and Labiocontius, whose image is given on the right side, face local extinction. The introduction of Nile perch, you can see the image below on the left side, a predatory fish into Lake Victoria in East Africa, led to extinction of an ecologically unique assemblage of more than 200 nature species of cichlid fish in the lake. You can see the image of the cichlid colorful fishes in the center. The papaya mealy bug, Paracoccus marginatus, is native to Mexico and Central America. He is believed to have destroyed huge crops of papaya in Assam, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu after its introduction. You can see the image of the papaya mealy bug on the right side. Global climate changes. Industrialization is a major contributor to climate change and a major threat to biodiversity. Energy drives our industries, which is provided by burning of fossil fuels. Thus increases the emission of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, leading to climate change. You can see in the image on the right side, burning of the fossil fuels releasing lot of pollutants into the atmosphere. Due to large-scale deforestation, the emitted carbon dioxide cannot be absorbed fully and its concentration in the air increases. The climate change increases land and ocean temperature, changes precipitation patterns, and raises the sea level. The image below on the left side, you can see the large scale deforestation, leaving the animals without food and fodder, and it cannot absorb efficient amount of carbon dioxide. On the right side, you can see the rising sea level, which is encroaching the nearby road. This in turn results in melting of glaciers, water inundation, less predictability of the weather patterns, extreme weather conditions, outbreak of squalor diseases, migration of animals and loss of trees in forest. Thus, climate change is an imminent danger to the existing biodiversity. You can see the image on the left side below, the melting of the glaciers. On the right side, you can see en masse migration of animals from one place to another. Now, what are the links between the biodiversity, the climate change, and the human well-being? You can see in this cycle, the humans encroach a lot of land areas, causing land use change, resulting in loss of biodiversity. This causes in turn the ecosystem services utilized by the humans. And the loss of biodiversity causes ecosystem function loss or changes the ecosystem function, resulting in changes in the biogeochemical cycles like carbon, carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, etc. The change in the biogeochemical cycles causes a change in the climate due to the biogenic greenhouse gases and aerosol emissions. The change in the climate has an impact on biodiversity, and the same thing has a reverse impact on climate regulation. The climate change or the climate impacts the human activities. The human activities in turn causing anthropogenic greenhouse gases and aerosol emissions can also affect the climate. Shifting or jhum cultivation, otherwise called slash and burn agriculture. In shifting cultivation, plots of natural tree vegetations are burnt away and cleared patches are farmed for 2 to 3 seasons, after which their fertility reduces to a point where crop production is no longer profitable. You can see in the image on the left side the natural tree vegetation being burnt. On the right side, you can see the jhum cultivation. The farmer then abandons this patch and cuts down a new patch of the forest trees elsewhere for crop production. This system is practiced in northeastern regions of India when vast areas are cleared and burnt. It results in loss of forest cover, pollution, and discharge of carbon dioxide, which in turn attributes to the loss of habitat and climate change, which has an impact on the faunal diversity of the regions. You can see in the image below on the right side a new patch being cleared. Co-extinctions. Co-extinction of a species is the loss of a species as a consequence of the extinction of another. Example, you can see in the image on the left side the orchid bees and the forest trees by cross-pollination. Extinction of one will automatically cause extinction of the other. Another example is the co-extinction is the connection between the calvaria tree, which you can see on the right side, and the extinction of the bird of Mauritius Island, the dodo, which you can see the image of it in the center. The calvaria tree is dependent on the dodo bird for completion of its life cycle. The mutualistic association is that the tough horny endocarp of the seeds of calvaria tree are made permeable by the actions of the large stones in bird's gizzard and digestive juices, whereby the facilitating easier germination. The extinction of the dodo bird led to imminent danger of the calvaria tree co-extinction. On the left side image, you can see the fruits of the calvaria tree hanging down. On the right side, you can see the tough tegument which has the fruit inside. The digestion of the tegument has to be done by the dodo bird so that the seeds can be dispersed. Intensive agriculture. Spread of agriculture is sometimes at the cost of the wetlands, grasslands, and forests. Intensive agriculture is based on a few high-yielding varieties. As a result, there is a reduction in the genetic diversity. It also increases vulnerability of the crop plants to sudden attack by pathogens and pests. On the right side, you can see the intensive agriculture going on. The crops are sprayed with man-made chemicals to get rid of pests. These are called pesticides or insecticides. And to overcome the diseases, fungicides are sprayed. This means bigger yields and the plants that look good. Other chemicals, like in the form of herbicides, are used to kill weeds, the plants that are not required. But the chemicals stay on the plants and could be eaten by the humans as well as the pests. On the right side, you can see the spraying of the chemicals by special vehicles in the field. There are only few varieties of traditional paddy strains today due to the use of hybrid varieties in Tamil Nadu. Now let us move on to the loss of biodiversity. Species have been evolving and dying out, extinction, ever since the origin of life. However, species are now becoming extinct at a faster rate. This is destabilizing the ecological stability and the distribution of biological diversity on Earth. Human activities greatly contribute to the loss of biodiversity. Natural resources such as land, water, and organisms are indiscriminately exploited by the human beings. According to the Convention of Biological Diversity, direct and indirect human activities have a detrimental effect on biodiversity. Direct human activities like change in the local land use, species introduction or removal, harvesting, pollution, and climate change contribute a greater pressure on the loss of biodiversity. Indirect human drivers include demographic, economic, technological, cultural, and religious factors. Even though new species are being discovered, there is little hope for adding new species through speciation into the biodiversity treasure. Monsoon failure, global warming, depletion in ozone layer, landslides in hilly areas, pollution are a few indirect effects of human activities which results in the loss of biodiversity. In the image below on the left side, you can see the monsoon failure resulting in the drought. In the middle, you can see the radiation causing the ultraviolet rays as well as the greenhouse gases and the other pollutants causing a ozone hole in the atmosphere. On the right side, you can see the landslides that occur in hilly areas. IUCN Red List 2004 documents the extinction of 784 species in the 500 years. It is estimated that the current rate of biodiversity loss is 100 to 1000 times higher than the naturally occurring extinction rate and is still expected to grow in the future. This loss of biodiversity has an immense impact on the plant, animal, and human life. The negative effects include dramatic influence on the food web. Even reduction in one species can adversely affect the entire food chain, which further leads to an overall reduction in the biodiversity. Reduced biodiversity leads to immediate danger for food security by reducing the ecosystem services. Here you can see a food web where the phytoplanktons are consumed by krill or the zooplanktons. The zooplanktons are also consumed by the fish. The krill can be consumed by the fish or directly by the blue whale, and the fish is consumed by the seagull or the leopard seal. The seagull can be consumed by the leopard seal. You can see the seaweeds in the sea, which can be consumed by the crabs. The crabs can be consumed by the squids. The squids can be consumed by the penguins or the elephant seal. The elephant seal is consumed by the killer whale, or the penguins can also be consumed by the killer whale. The penguins can also be consumed by the leopard seal. The leopard seal is finally consumed by the killer whale. If any one of the species becomes extinct or disappears, the entire food chain and the food web is affected. Hotspots. Hotspots are areas characterized with high concentration of endemic species, experiencing unusual rapid rate of habitat modification loss. Norman Myers, whose photo is given below, define hotspots as regions that harbor a great diversity of endemic species and at the same time have been significantly impacted and altered by human activities. A hotspot is a region that supports at least 1500 endemic vascular plant species, that is 0.5% of the global total, has more than 70% of its original vegetation. There are 35 biodiversity hotspots in the world. India is home to 4 biodiversity hotspots as per the environmental survey. The hotspots in India are the Himalayas, the entire Indian Himalayan region, the Western Ghats, Indo-Burma region, which includes the entire northeastern India except Assam and Andaman group of islands, and Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia and southern China. Sundaland, which includes Nicobar group of islands, and Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei and Philippines. Here in this image you can see the biodiversity hotspots of India, the entire Himalayan range and the northeast India, the Western Ghats, the Andaman and the Nicobar Islands. Endangered organisms, a species that has been categorized as very likely to become extinct, is an endangered species. Endangered species EN, as categorized by the International Union for Conservation of Nature IUCN Red List, is the second most severe conservation status for the wild populations in the IUCN scheme after critically endangered, designated as CR. In 1998, there were 1,102 animals and 1,197 plant species in the IUCN Red List. In 2012, the list features 3,079 animals and 2,655 plant species as endangered worldwide. One more species that goes extinct, George the tree snail, Achatinella apex fulva, died on January 1st, 2019 at the age of 14. He was the last snail of his species and is emblematic of the loss of native Hawaiian mollusks. Extinction. Species is considered extinct when none of its members are alive anywhere in the world. If individuals of a species remain alive only in captivity or other human-controlled conditions, the species is said to be extinct in the wild. In both of these situations, the species would be considered globally extinct. A species is considered to be locally extinct when it is no longer found in an area it once inhabited, but is still found elsewhere in the wild. Below images you can see some of the extinct animals: the dinosaurs, the saber-toothed cat, the dodo, the golden toad, the Tasmanian tiger, woolly mammoth, passenger pigeon, the ground sloth. In the middle you can see the wild cat and some of the other animals and bird that has become extinct. In the 450 million years of life on the earth, there had been 5 mass extinctions which had eliminated at least 50% of the species of the flora and fauna on the globe. The extinction of species is mainly due to drastic environmental changes and population characteristics. There are 3 types of extinctions. Natural extinction is a slow process of replacement of existing species with better adapted species due to changes in the environmental conditions, evolutionary changes, predators and diseases. A small population can get extinct sooner than the larger population due to the inbreeding depression, that is less adaptivity and variation. Mass extinction. The earth has experienced quite a few mass extinctions due to the environmental catastrophes. A mass extinction occurred about 225 million years ago during the Permian, where 90% of shallow water marine invertebrates disappeared. Anthropogenic extinctions. These are abetted by human activities like hunting, habitat destruction, overexploitation, urbanization and industrialization. Some of the examples of extinctions which we have already told earlier and shown the photographs are dodo of Mauritius and Steller's sea cow of Russia. Amphibians seem to be at higher risk of extinction because of habitat destruction. Most serious aspect of the loss of biodiversity is the extinction of the species. The unique information contained in its genetic material, the DNA, and the niche it possesses are lost forever. Project Tiger. The government of India launched the Project Tiger in 1973 to protect our national animal. From 9 tiger reserves since its inception, the Project Tiger coverage has increased to 50 at present. Project Tiger is an ongoing centrally sponsored scheme of the Ministry of Environment and Forests, providing central assistance to the states for tiger conservation in designated tiger reserves. Project Tiger was launched in the Jim Corbett National Park, Uttarakhand in 1973. The project ensures a viable population of Bengal tigers in their natural habitats, protecting them from extinction and preserving areas of biological importance as a natural heritage. The Jim Corbett National Park is spread over 520.8 square kilometers, including marshy swamps, hills, riverine belts, and lakes. Also, almost 73% of the area is covered by trees and only 10% is under grasslands. The National Tiger Conservation Authority (NTCA) is a statutory body of the ministry created under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. India holds over the half the world's tiger population. According to the latest tiger census report released on 20th January 2015 by NTCA, the current tiger population is estimated at 2,212. So today in Biodiversity and its Conservation Part 3, we discussed about the threats to biodiversity, causes of biodiversity loss, loss of biodiversity, and the Project Tiger. So thank you. Kindly subscribe, like, share and comment the channel readmedprep Academy. Kindly register for UG and PG NEET type MCQs in our website www.readmedprepacademy.com. Our Facebook ID is readmedprep academy. Our email is readmedprepacademy@gmail.com. Our Instagram is readmedprep academy. Kindly post your questions in the comment box. We will reply with appropriate answers. If you want to join Read Med Prep Academy, kindly WhatsApp the number given below. Thank you very much.